1 year ago, July 25th, 2019. That was the last news we got about Rune Factory 5.
I mean, you can't say that it's the last news. We have been told that it is indeed coming multiple times.
That news is so funny. Yeah, that was, I think, last week where it came out in a financial results presentation from the developer that it will be releasing in 2020. That's what we've got. I'm imagining a December 31st, 2020 release date. What about you?
I mean, they might go a bit earlier just to hit that Christmas market, but I think you're about spot on.
The trailer that they released was pretty lackluster too. It showed some pictures of animals, a picture of the house, the logo, and then it gave us these mythical silhouettes of the protagonists.
And we were intrigued. I don't think we would have been. I think it's the long wait has made us antsy.
It's true, because every month on the dot, I'll Google Rune Factory 5 and look for more news. And all I see are these character silhouettes. If anything, they're a bit haunting.
So you had to fill them in.
So we worked together. I did the art. Momo gave me the ideas of what we think the protagonist could look like. And that's the video that's kind of underplaying this discussion.
Just for fun.
Yeah, we did have a lot of fun predicting it and just talking about kind of the art style of Rune Factory and trying to match it the best that we could. You know, really layer on the buckles, the leather detailing. That'll come later in the video, but we're getting there. The muted color tone, I kept on trying to add more color, and Momo was like,
No, no, no.
yeah.
More browns. Make it tan.
Yeah, all we had to work off of was the silhouettes and then the logo for Rune Factory 5, which has this color gradient. So at the top, there's this greenish brown color. It transitions to a yellow orange and then to a purple. We use that as the color keys, I guess you could say.
Vaguely. I mean, in the end, it's dulled down quite a bit.
Maybe we dulled it down too much because some of the protagonists have had some pretty bright patches of color. Obviously, Raguna or Laguna from Rune Factory 1, he was very brown coloring, a little patch of red. Rune Factory 2 had the protagonist with the reddish hair, which stood out more, and then the bright blue headband. There is color, and especially with Rune Factory 4, which should have been our reference mostly because that's the most recent art that we've seen. They went for this green color palette for their hair, especially on the girl. The girl was very bright and poppy. Maybe that was a misstep, but you know, there was that part of me when I was drawing it that just kept on saying, you have to make it more muted and earthy. No regrets. So, Momo, how about you just talk a bit about how much you/we love this series?
It all started back with the GameCube, Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life.
You're right. That is where this love really started. I didn't think about it that way.
Of course it did. Because, I mean, I probably would have liked Rune Factory, but the fact that it was supposed to be Harvest Moon, that was it for me. And I never liked any of the other Harvest Moon games. And, it's, you know, there's that whole thing where it's not actually Harvest Moon. The people who used to make Harvest Moon now make Rune Factory or whatever.
Which has led the Harvest Moon, or as it's now known, the Story of Seasons games, to look like it's like a clown world of what Harvest Moon used to be.
I know. It's like an app game.
Oh my gosh, and the art design, it's like plummeted appeal. The appeal is below the graph. Like if I had a piece of paper, the line would be going off the paper downwards.
It was just crazy because there were cartoony aspects in A Wonderful Life, but not to the degree that they're at now. Oh boy.
It's funny that we started this with a discussion about color saturation. The degree to which they saturate the colors and how everything looks like this cartoony poppy nightmare. I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what happened. The Story of Seasons and Rune Factory just took opposite directions.
I think of Rune Factory as the true successor to Harvest Moon, whereas I see Story of Seasons as kind of like the ugly cousin who we don't talk about.
Concur.
So we loved Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life on the GameCube. That was our introduction to it. And when we heard about this fantasy version that implemented battling and other mechanics like that was on the DS, we got it and we fell in love with it.
Yeah, I played those first two Rune Factory games like too long and too many times over. And the embarrassing thing about, I think it was Rune Factory 2, I like played it through once and then I restarted and I married the same girl.
Who did you marry? Was it the bookstore girl?
Bookstore girl. I don't even remember her name anymore.
I think it was Tori, unless I'm confusing it from Rune Factory 1.
Yeah, there was the same character basically, and who I also I also married her in the Rune Factory 1. Momo's got a type? What?
So we're both girls, obviously, but we both love playing as a male character in these farming games that gets to marry a girl. I don't know what sort of dream or fantasy this is playing out for us, but it just hits a note with us.
I want to be a farmer and have a beautiful wife.
I'm actually playing Tides of Destiny right now. This is how I'm staving off the drought that is not having Rune Factory 5 to play. And honestly, I'm loving it. I'm realizing that not only do I appreciate Rune Factory as a game artistically, I think that the art direction in the game's amazing. I love the monster designs, the character designs. I even like the corny anime dialogue. That's like one of my favorite parts of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's really corny revisiting it since I'm older. But mechanically, I am in love with these games. Because every day that you play in Rune Factory, you wake up and you have your RP bar and your health bar. And from that moment on, it's just this nonstop min-max going through the town and doing everything that you can with the energy that you have for that day that you think will be most productive. And the clock's ticking. You know, your energy's going down. You always have the bathhouse to give you that second burst of energy midday. But there's really something to that, and I feel like I get into this zen flow state every time I play a Rune Factory game where I'm giving everyone their favorite meals, I'm going to fight the monster drops that I need, I'm doing the farming and getting it. And it's just really fun how I haven't played a Rune Factory game in a while. Tides of Destiny is my first one in a long time, but it's the same exact feeling that I always get with these games, and it feels so good and honestly so relaxing. It's kind of funny because the game that I was playing before this, Animal Crossing, I thought that Animal Crossing would be this relaxing game that I needed during quarantine, but Animal Crossing doesn't have it because there's not enough to fill up the time.
And there is no stopping point. You could aimlessly wander around catching every bug and catching every fish. No repercussions. You could do it all day long. The worst that could happen to you is you talk to your villager like 3 times and they think you're weird and clingy.
It's really painful when the villagers don't want to talk to me after talking to them once.
I know! It's so few and then they get really mean about it. Even if you talk to them like in the morning and then again at night, sometimes they'll still say it. And I'm like, I haven't talked to you in hours.
And in Rune Factory, the characters, it's true that their dialogue is repetitive, but they always say something it would be the chit-chat that you would have with a villager in your town, in your rural farming fantasy community that you love.
Okay, Rune Factory is just beautiful because while there are some cold characters who can be kind of mean, mostly everyone's very cordial and it's easy for them to be nice to you. Whereas I tried playing Stardew Valley, and those people are just horrible. And you have to work so hard to get them to like you, and they're just mean to you when you talk to them, and so I couldn't play it.
I'm not sure if what they're doing for the backgrounds on the Rune Factory games, specifically talking about the DS ones, I can't tell if what they do is they build a 3D model and then they just take a picture or a render of the 3D model, kind of similar to techniques that you'd seen used in like Final Fantasy VII and older games like that, or if it's a drawing underneath. I have a feeling that they use a combination of both, but it ends to a very appealing game, even though that like, when you really look at the art, it tends to be kind of pixelated, especially on the DS smaller screen. That's what makes the new Switch one that's coming out so exciting.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad if they make it fully 3D and everything. The end of an era. But then again, Harvest Moon Wonderful Life was 3D and you can walk around and it was more, at least in my memory, it probably looked really bad. But from what I remember, it looked really good.
No, because you have to think that even if graphics improve, a lot of what makes video games look good is simply art design, and I think that the art design was there for Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life on the GameCube. And so I'm playing a fully 3D Rune Factory right now. I'm playing Tides of Destiny on the Wii, and I will say that the 3D art style actually does grow on you. The town feels a lot bigger. There is more of the sense you're traveling through different places. I especially like the three-dimensionality where like you can go under this awning and it leads to this bridge that leads down to the beach. In the inn, there's this covered patio area, which wouldn't really come out in the DS style of the games.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll find that they have their own appeal. I will say that the way that they did farming in Tides of Destiny is very strange, and I miss the more locked top-down view for farming, because I think that being able to see your whole field and plan out your whole field is very fun. The way that they did it in Tides of Destiny is completely reworked. It's not even worth explaining. It's a very strange farming system, which has its own fun and its own drawbacks to it. Just to go back to talking about this illustration that's kind of been playing underneath us talking, when we first saw the silhouettes, there was a few problems that we had where we really had to think about what the things were.
And there are a few things that I am absolutely convinced of. For one, that boy is wearing two shirts. He's got a long sleeve shirt and a short sleeve shirt over top of it.
Like, that's such a dweeby thing in real life, but it's such a Rune Factory thing to do.
I kind of like it. It's a look. Catch me wearing a long sleeve shirt with a short sleeve shirt over it. And then I'm vaguely certain that she is holding a magnifying glass.
The magnifying glass is a stretch, and you know it. So I went with the magnifying glass. That was your idea, and I went with it because I thought it was really cute, and it turned out really cute. But I'm almost positive that she's holding a book, like an old tomb, and then that's like a metal bookmark that's kind of sticking out of it. That's my actual prediction for what the loop was. If you look at the original silhouettes, that loop, it throws you for a loop. You're like, what am I looking at here?
Uh-huh. We can also be certain that they both have utility belts.
Well, what's a Rune Factory character without a good belt? The fact that we made on the right side of the male protagonist, the fact that we made that line into shears was sort of more fun. We're pretty sure that that's more of like
Yeah, like a knot with like a tie.
some sort of hanging cloth, but we thought the shears would be cuter for the illustration, or cooler. I think, honestly, looking at them, I think the guy turned out really good. I would play as this guy in the game.
He's got a feather in his cap. It's so good.
He's got a feather in his cap. What does that saying mean again? Just that you've had like a good day?
Yeah, you got a feather in your cap.
He's a real Yankee Doodle, if you know what I mean.
Stick a feather in your cap.
For the girl, maybe I'll show right now in the video, Momo sent me over ideas for what the clothes should look like, and it's just so funny because what were you using?
Yeah, I used paint.net. I used the little pixelated pen tool.
Just feeding me these great ideas.
Sent my crude drawings over.
Hey, I like it, because what we were doing was design work. Obviously, I rendered it, but I liked the design, especially for the guys' double shirts that you sent over.
Yeah, in the end, I'm not so bad of a drawer.
Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it. So this is our final illustrations. I guess questions to anyone who's watched this video. Do you like these designs? Would you play as these protagonists? Or do you think they're kind of uggo? Your call.
Our feelings won't be hurt. Don't worry.
I like how they turned out. Maybe I like the guy more than the girl. If I could go back, I would change the colors on the girl a bit.
If you've got a feather in your cap, do you want to hear what it means?
Oh yeah, what does it mean to have a feather in your cap?
You've got a feather in your cap for finishing this drawing, because it's any sort of success or achievement.
Hey, I think we both got a feather in our caps.
It comes from, like, hunting. They would pluck a feather from their kill and put it in their cap.
Ooh, this is cool and topical. I like this quote. I'm gonna say that more. I want to draw an illustration now of two girls putting feathers into each other's caps.
That could be pretty. I mean, if it's a pretty feather.
I guess just to close this off, so my sister and I just recently started this YouTube channel. We basically only have reviewed manga. This will be the first video that we did, which is kind of
off topic.
Yeah, a Rune Factory video game video, but also primarily focused on the illustration itself. But yeah, we're planning on mixing things up, but we mostly just talk about manga. So I don't know, check out our other videos if you're a manga fan.